Mother of God. Down I come. Okay. Whenever you're finished checking your phone, I thought we'd talk about nerves and nervousness because of just the tournament of the weekend.
Yeah.
Remember we were chatting about nerves before, because me and Amanda, you and Joe were having a kind of a laugh about like difference between doing tournaments and doing MMA fights and the difference in nerves. I was saying, I think it was, I won't mention the grappler actually because it was like an older kind of grappler anyway, world champion. He said they used to vomit before like IBJJF style competition and tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the nerves even drove him out. But when it came to doing MMA fights, he was fine. And you were kind of saying it's the same, not the same, but like it's similar.
Yeah.
For you.
Reason why I think when in an MMA fight, you know, I mean, there's 3 rounds, 5 minutes, and when you're standing in the feet in MMA and striking, you have a bit more control of the distance. Like you don't have to technically engage straight away, whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, it's all grappling. You need to take them down or pull guard and get submissions and get the finish or get the points, whatever it may be. So you must engage in the grappling. Whereas in MMA, you know what I mean, you touch gloves, you're squaring off, you do a little bit of dancing in front of each other.
Kind of time to settle in.
There's much more time to settle in. You have 5 minutes to settle in. There's 3 rounds, whereas Jiu-Jitsu only have 1 fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's how you can settle into this maybe suss out his movements and stuff like that. Whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, most people are just in, takedown, or else in, pull guard, and straight away attack. So there's not much time to settle in. So you know as soon as that ref says come back, you're straight in and you're getting straight into action. And I think that can unsettle you in a way, you know what I mean? Because you don't know what might happen. Whereas in the MMA, you know what I mean, you can kind of suss out, take your time, grow into comfort, and get used to get more familiar with the fact that you're actually in a fight.
Right.
So whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, it's bomb straight in. Now the difference with me is that obviously I'm around so long that I can I can suss out the difference between it. But I think when you add on the fact of the tournament-based thing in Jiu-Jitsu, if you lose, you're out, you're done. You know what I mean? No one wants to be in and out straight away. So that little bit of pressure added on is maybe a big influence in why people find the nerves a big issue in Jiu-Jitsu.
I never thought about that with the settling in thing. That's new to me. It never occurred to me. But yeah, you're kind of right. You do have that kind of feeling out period. There's no feeling out period in Jiu-Jitsu at all.
Yeah,
it's bang.
sometimes with the striking, like you can tap away at each other for a round, and then in the second round you're gonna the nerves are gone. I've flushed off the nerves. I know I'm in a fight now, and now I'll pick it up a notch. A lot of people, you know, you have a lot of slow starters in MMA fights. They always sometimes lose the first round. Takes them that round to get into it because they're probably feeling like they can't show all their cards at once, or they're afraid to. Or not even that they're afraid. They're sometimes probably too nervous or too like roiled up in a way that they just can't. They're too tense and they can't be free and be loose. And then when they lose that round, it's like sometimes it takes the coach in the air during the break, and they go, right now, let's wake up like and try to get in. So
that's actually really interesting because like I would have thought, like for anybody who's fought MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, definitely MMA feels more dangerous, right? So you feel more like, well, just like you feel like there's so many opportunities to get hurt, I suppose.
Yeah.
And even when you're winning, you can be hurt, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to come away with some damage, whether it's like to your legs, leg kicks, or you know even from striking yourself, you know, your feet or your hands or whatever it is. Whereas there's definitely a less sense of danger in Jiu-Jitsu. So like you should realistically feel more nervous for MMA than you do Jiu-Jitsu. But I definitely feel more nervous. I remember like I didn't play MMA too much, not so experienced as you, but like I remember a few moments. There was a couple of times I was bricking in the dressing room, but when I walked out, I would go, "Oh yeah, all right, I really want to do this," you know. And then as soon as the cage, like you know, they all cliche. As soon as the cage door is locked, your nerves go. But they do.
Yeah,
they do. But you are still tight. You're still a bit tight.
Yeah. The realization of combat hits you when the cage door closes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then it's on, and it's like, right, well now it's on. But when I've gone out, sometimes I had a terrible time out at the Nogi Euros because I was on my own in the warm-up area. And there was other Irish lads around. I'm thinking I should have just taken my headphones out and just kind of mixed in with the lads because they were chatting. We were at Loud Call having a conversation. But instead, I went on a downward spiral of nerves and like negative emotion.
Of thought.
Yeah, right the way down. And by the time I got out to the mat, I was like, I don't want to be here. This is brutal. And it was a difficult time anyway, you know, because like I had a bereavement and all that around that time. So, like, what was that? About a month before. So I wasn't really happy about going anyway. And then once I got that little niggling thought of negativity in my head, it was just down the chute. Whereas I've never really, especially I suppose because you've got a team around with you in MMA, you've got like you're warming up on the pads, somebody's beside you all the time. You don't need to be quiet, Park. We're not sneaking, it's okay. See you later.
We're nice and casual here.
But when you're in a dressing room in MMA, most of the time it's a good vibe. It's a good crack. It's good, like, you know, got people pumping you up.
Like everyone is there, you're seeing the other lads warming up, and it's real enclosed, you know what I mean? Like it's real kind of has that grittiness to it, you know what I mean? Whereas Jiu-Jitsu, you might just get people there just putting the hips out, doing a few tumbles and rolls in the warm-up area, and it doesn't have the same feel. In relation to my performance on Saturday, I started to warm up a bit too early, and then it got delayed a bit, so I was like, right, I'm not going to warm up now. Then I was waiting around. I think the waiting around psychologically maybe had an effect on my performance because I just was a bit less switched on by that time came. Yeah. So when the time came to compete, I definitely knew going onto the mat that I wasn't going to perform the way I would have liked to perform just because of how I felt inside myself as a competitor, because I know how it feels to step in and be in combat. So when I know that in myself, going onto the mat, I already had that little small bit of doubt in me. And when I got the single leg, took him down, and then I just stopped. You know what I mean? And you know yourself when you're hyped up and you have that kind of like aggression or whatever it is, and you'll be moving and blah blah blah. You'll be playing the game you know you should play, and I think because I wasn't in that state of mind, I was susceptible to the bad effect of that side of the game.
I've
you know what I mean?
that where, and we do here in competition training, like we that's the thing we try to drill out most is that stopping.
Yeah.
That like when you take somebody down, you immediately try to pass the guard. You don't have to pass the guard, but you have to put them under pressure. Put them under next pressure, and try to like keep the analogy I always use is like rolling the boulder up the hill. Is like once you stop, it's going to roll down and flatten you. It doesn't stop, so it's either going to roll and flatten you, or you're going to roll it up to the top of the hill. And I've done that so many times where I've got one good position and then taken a heartbeat, just a beat, and then suddenly it's got a lasso hook in. Now you've lost the momentum completely. Even if it hasn't lost you the match, it's lost you the momentum. And like you have to be in the right state of mind, I think, to from the off, like to do that, you know?
100%. It's drilled in, you know what I mean? And even just saying it to yourself before you go out, I need to be forced. Them little reminders. And like that's the thing about now when you're doing MMA, you have your coach with you saying, telling you your game plan over and over. Hit the shots, gone, get the shots, gone, blah blah blah. And they even as you're walking out to the cage, they're reminding you, you know what I mean? It drilled into your head. Whereas sometimes in Jiu-Jitsu, because you're left to your own devices until you're on the edge of the mat and someone's throwing a bit of advice, that can happen. Another effect of my performance, and it's being a bit naive in terms of Jiu-Jitsu competition, is that when I was in half guard, and in Jiu-Jitsu, you know what I mean, like it's you should be moving, you know, whereas in MMA, half guard's a great position to stay.
Yeah.
So I think I subconsciously was still in MMA competition where I was like half guard, I was like, I'm fine here. Whereas I would have been throwing punches, I would have been ground and pounding. So when I got caught in a heel hook from K guard, they set up the K guard. Whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, if someone went to go K guard, in MMA, if someone went to go K guard, they're getting punched straight in the face. So I was kind of like, all right, it is what it is, you know what I mean? That's not an excuse for me losing, is I wasn't sharp enough on the day, that's why I lost. But, you know what I mean, that played a factor. It's just the comfortability in that position when I should have been pressure, move, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I love to just stay in half guard in MMA because it's a really good position, dominant position. If you just sit your heels down and throw your punches, you can be very effective. It can open up a lot of things, so...
And that, yeah, like I mean, I was talking to somebody about the difference in leg locks between MMA and like they're so rare in MMA just because of that, just because of strikes. I'm saying if you're like one of my I'll go off topic for a second, right? But one of my bugbears is like this leg lock game is so big now. But I was saying to somebody, it hasn't changed how jiu-jitsu operates outside of jiu-jitsu. So everybody goes, what do you mean by that? I said, but it hasn't leaked into MMA. And the reason it hasn't leaked into MMA is partly two things. One is there's no real specialists doing it in MMA. Like there's one or two guys doing leg locks at a really, really good level.
Like Ryan Hall and all the likes of them.
Yeah, so there's one or maybe two guys. But most MMA fighters are not like on that level in jiu-jitsu. Like they're super jiu-jitsu fighters from a balanced grappling perspective, but they're not like
positional control.
Yes, yeah, they're great positional. So they're black belts at that, but they're not black belts at like every technical movement. Like it would be like seeing, like watching some heavyweight fight here now, like next weekend, and seeing somebody go into deep half guard to try to, or 50-50 or something like that. It just wouldn't happen because it's not effective. So my argument is always like, it's improved jiu-jitsu in the leg lock game, it's exploded, like, and I'm like way behind. I'm still behind.
Yeah, same. All I did was leg locks since the white belt, and I'm still behind.
Yeah, I'm still behind now. I'm like, whoa, it's another position, another way of getting out of that position. But has it improved jiu-jitsu as a martial art that's combat effective? Actually, probably no. Like, it's the same thing as Berimbolo. Like, Berimbolo didn't, like, the Berimbolo explosion, like, of 10 years ago. Like, it didn't change what, like, I'm going to use it, I don't want to sound like too much like a Gracie, but, like, it hasn't changed what a cop would use, and it hasn't changed what an MMA fighter would use.
The basic grappling is going to be the key all the time. Like, remember, Joyce said something about, wasn't it, that all these new fads and these new trends are coming and going, but pure jiu-jitsu will always be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your takedown, your pass, your mount control, your back control. The basics are just the fundamentals that you learn on day one. They will stick with you no matter what new move you learn. All these cool roll and stuff, blah, blah. It's all cool, it's all for show. But when you get to a high level, basics and fundamentals done exquisitely will win your fights, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, and
that's win your fights. When you matches, it's different. Jiu-jitsu matches, very, very different. Takes a long time, and that's we had this discussion after your match when you lost. I was saying, like, for you to spend that time to try to beat that, they're called super leg locks, and that's a known club, they're a known team for their leg locks, and they do submission only and stuff like that. So you've got to take time out of that ground and pound game
to learn how to defend.
To do that, not necessarily how to defend, but maybe how to attack. But to learn how to defend, you have to learn how to attack, right?
Yeah.
You have to know it inside out. But anyway, that's just on another.
That's one thing I am conscious of, that like I'm going in to learn. MMA is so vast and broad because there's so many techniques between striking, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu. The curriculum is just never ending in terms of like throughout the year. In training, I drill so many different moves, and none of them are the same, really. You know what I mean? It's so vast. Whereas if we, you know what I mean, come up against a jiu-jitsu club who are just really good leg lockers, they're going to be really well drilled in one position, so much that they will do it on their deathbed. You know what I mean? They'll be doing it. They'll be dead, and they're still whipping up K guards and heel hooks. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between a specialist is in one area and someone who's really good in all areas.
Yeah.
And that's what I think MMA grappling really is someone who's really good in all areas across the board of all of grappling. You know what I mean?
But without being a specialist and able to,
but at the same time, you can still have someone who's like a specialist in brings certain specialist traits. Like, for example, good shoulder pressure, which always leads to maybe, look at me, for example, how long am I doing head and arms? I'd say I'll class myself a specialist at head and arms in a way, you know what I mean? Because I've been doing them so long, and it's a positional control thing that gets me the head and arms. And then you have people who are really good at maybe taking the back and getting the back choke. Or you have people who are really good at getting arm bars from like side control or mount them, sit off, like Gunny Nelson there, textbook arm bar there the other week.
Yeah.
Like, you have specialists in them positions, but it's down to experience and understanding of the game. Now, that comes with experience, that comes with times on the mats, that comes with time in combat. You know what I mean? In action, in the fights. And what it really comes down to is just your, like, awareness, being comfortable in the fight, and then as well as that, just how many times you've done that move.
Yeah. No, nothing happens by accident, right?
Yeah.
Nothing happens by accident. What am I going to say about head and arms?
Oh yeah. We'll leave that out of the camera. We'll be here
let's
all
do
day.
this on camera. Let's do this on camera.
We'll be here all day.
I definitely showed you that.
We'll leave it there. No comment.
I definitely showed you.
No comment.
No.
But yes.
Anyway, no, that's good. Yeah, I wanted to come back. We'll touch back on nerves just for a sec, though.
Yeah.
Pre-competition nerves, because what I was saying to people was like, I wrote on the blog actually. Check the Kayusa blog.
Are you signed up to the Kayusa blog?
Yeah,
if not, text Barry.
There you go.
Get signed up.
Get signed up. I've heard the word anxiety come in the last year talking about competition nerves. And I've never heard that word before. I've heard like performance anxiety. I've heard like, he has performance anxiety. Usually actually I hear that about somebody who can't go for a piss at a public urinal. It's like, oh, I've got performance anxiety.
Everyone's looking at me.
Yeah. But I've never heard the term anxiety come in. And the mental health issues that people are coming up, like people's public perception and awareness of mental health, super. It's really, really good. But I think it's very important not to cross those over into normal nervousness, normal excitement about a competition. Yeah. And like not to turn around and say, I'm feeling anxious about it. Because anxiety is like a crippling thing. Nerves is something you can get over.
Yeah, I actually have this one thing. Nerves and anxiety, excitement and anxiety are the exact same towards competition, are the exact same feeling. It's the butterfly in your stomach, but it's how you perceive it.
Yeah.
If I'm telling myself I'm nervous, but then I'm going to say, Jace, I'm nervous, I'm afraid. Whereas if I go, Jace, I have the butterflies, I'm excited, I'm mad to go. Because it's the same feeling. It's just how you perceive it. And I think why people struggle with nerves because they don't know how to understand and control their own mind. Mm-hmm. They lack that self-awareness, that self-control. Instead of them talking to themselves positively, they can't.
The negative switches on.
The negative switches on. They can't control the outcome of their thoughts because it took. And I'll just give an example for me. For example, I went through years of being, fuck the world, this, that, everything. You know what I mean? I hate nothing's gone right for me. Blah blah blah. And that's because I perceived everything a certain way. But when you make the changes and understand how your brain works and understand that I'm in control of them thoughts, no matter them thoughts aren't intrusive. They're intrusive because I'm thinking to myself this way. Do I project things outside of the sport in my personal life, in my daily life? I project it in a negative way. So when I start to talk to myself internally, them negative thoughts are going to start, instead of them coming out, they're going to stay in. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to yourself internally negatively all the time, it's just like you're pulling yourself down with a rope, and it's just like every time you take a step forward, you're just dragging yourself back. Yeah. And then I think in terms of competition, then when you're telling yourself, "Jeez, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous." Yeah, that's you. You're taking in training. You're doing all the work training. You're putting the work in. It's you taking steps forward, and then you tell yourself you're nervous, then you're getting brought back. And now it's like, right, put the work in training. I'm nervous, brought back. So how can you control that? And how you control it is how you talk to yourself internally. You tell yourself that you're putting the work in. Yeah, because you can only control what you control. You control your training. You control your food leading up to it. You control your sleep. You control like the rest you get. The positive things you take in outside of the sport, they all have influences. The negative will have influences. Your people you surround yourself with will have influences. So if I'm around you and you're saying I'm very nervous and you're acting really nervous and I'm ready to go out for my match, but you're saying how scared you are, and then I'm like, fuck, maybe I'm scared now. Like that all rubs off you. You know what I mean? And I think that is a big part to play in how like rubbing off someone's like aura can be a big part to play in you going there or going there. And it's the same thing throughout school. You tell kids, don't surround yourself with people who bring you down. People's negative energy can bring you down even if yours is already positive. Yeah. And they can just creep in and creep in and creep in.
You see it so many times. And I've sent, you probably know this, I've sent guys on errands like on fake, hey, go out and get that for me there. Will you won't go get a bottle of water? Just because they're actually dragging people down. And or I've said to people, here, get rid of him. Like, you know, if some fella goes out and loses his match, say, and he comes back in, he's like, oh, you know. Yeah, and I've actually said, take him outside. You can't, like, you can feel the vibe getting sucked out of a room, like, you know, say a dressing room in MMA or even just around the area and warm up, oh, you know. And a couple of times you have guys come around and go, oh, I'm so nervous. Are you nervous? I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Shut up, right? You
Yeah.
know, you want to say to them, it is like about positive self-talk, and it is about, I said, the thing I put in the blog was anticipatory excitement.
Yeah,
is what you call it.
that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's like, it's excitement. You are excited. This is something you want to do. It's a place you want to be in. It's not anxiety. And we had a discussion with somebody here a couple of weeks ago about how things go just out the window and something real that causes real anxiety in your life goes. Suddenly,
the other factors don't seem as big.
well, it's like, oh, what was I nervous about that for? Because I've got a real problem,
Yeah.
and it turns out now I'm really anxious, and it's like, oh, that other thing, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Nervous
Actually,
about competition? Yeah, I don't care about
I'll
that.
give you a laugh, actually. I know I don't really get nervous for MMA, but before my PFL debut, when we did the ceremonial weigh-ins the day of the fight, because we did ceremonial weigh-ins the day of the fight, and sorry, was it the day of the fight, maybe the day before? I can't remember really. I think it was the day before, maybe, but yeah, it was the day before. But I was standing in the arena, right, behind the curtain, ready to get called out to face off with my opponent. Now I was ready to kill this fella, you know what I mean? I felt good, but I was standing behind, there was a queue, you know what I mean, for fighters, and I was like second or third for being called, and I just got this mad rush of nerves in my stomach, and I was like, fucking hell, this is the real deal now, I'm hitting the big time. And then I just stopped back, and it was starting to get intrusive of myself, and then I just said to myself, Nathan, you deserve to be here. I was like, you have worked since you're 13 years old for this one dream, for this one cause, to get into arenas like this, to put on a show in front of your friends, your family, and the world to see. You're fighting on the ESPN main card. You deserve to be here. And then when I said that to myself, I just went, oh God, yeah, I do deserve to be here. And the weight came off my shoulders. And as soon as I said that, I was like, right, let's stare off against this fella. I was dying to stare off against him then. I was dying to project my confidence then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I had that little bit of self-doubt for like a minute or two until I said, no, you deserve to be here. The nerves you're feeling are excitement for all the times you've thought about getting into this position, you know what I mean? And then when I realised that, I was like, nah, I do deserve to be here. And then everything just, since then, I swear to God, since then, even the other fight, my last fight, I was just strolling around nonchalant. I didn't give it a monkey, you know what I mean? I felt like I'm born for this. I'm meant to be here.
Yeah.
What's me nervous? It's the same as that was my 9th pro fight. It's the same as my last 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and my 13 amateur fights, nothing changes.
Yeah, you've no kind of. I think that's an interesting one about reframing it though. Just taking, hold on, let's take a heartbeat. Let's think about is that thought real? Like that's one of the things that I think I was. Listen, I'm no psychologist. I'm definitely no psychologist. But 20 years around, like coaching people and coaching, you pick up things as you go, you know, and you do see a lot, and you see different types of people. And sometimes I think when people like are, especially when you're younger, because you were definitely very different when you were younger. Your mindset was definitely different. And seeing the change in you, say, or other people, like not necessarily using you as an example, but just the fact that you're operating at a high level, it is kind of, you're a good example in that way. To see you kind of going, from me, like your difference isn't just in yourself and what you tell yourself. It's actually the way you talk. I hear you talk about other people as well. So when I remember, like, listen, all young fellas are the same, but like even just to say, oh, he's just this or whatever. Wouldn't hear that too much out of you, to be honest. But other people, you definitely would hear it, like kind of speaking negative about others' achievements or anything like that. When we always used to call them yeah buts.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, so it's like, oh, such and such a guy's doing well. Yeah, but if I was doing, you know, but he's also got that. Yeah, but he can do it full time. Yeah, but he's got like, you know, better opportunity than I did. Yeah, but there's always a yeah, but around those people who are doing well. And I think once you eliminate it, you go. If you can speak positively about others, I think it's a huge reflection of the way you might talk to yourself as well.
1,000,000%.
If you speak negatively about others, you might find that creeps into your own language about who you are and what you say about yourself as well.
Well, I actually 1,000,000% agree with that, because the reason is those yeah buts are maybe insecure in their own head and have their own stuff that maybe they're unhappy with, and they're like, I didn't achieve this, or I didn't achieve that. So instead of me acknowledging how well someone's doing, it's not that big of a deal. Whereas it is a big deal. You know what I mean? Someone's winning fights or tournaments or whatever it is, and I have the right self-awareness to say, do you know what, he's doing the right thing. Maybe I should look at what they're doing. But then you have them people, but going, but he's only fighting shit people, or he's only fighting people who are maybe not on his level. But he's still winning. He's still going out. He has to rock up just like everyone else does. So
I gotta tell
he's
you,
rocking
right,
up and winning.
This is the one that gets me all the time, and that's the usual. But your man wasn't any good. Okay, the cliche is you can only beat who's in front of you. But actually, if you look at any sporting contest, 80, maybe even as close as 90% of results go just about the way you expect them to.
Yeah.
Because the other guy is dominant over the other one, or the other team is dominant. I said this to people I said, if you watch Manchester City play Bournemouth tomorrow night, what would you expect to happen? You'd expect Manchester City to pump them 4-0. Right, does that make Manchester City shit? Like, they're only... Okay, I know there's a lot of financial dope and stuff like that going on, but let's take anything else. Like if you say Dortmund are playing Mainz, right, or something like that. Say something more obscure. So, okay, I'd anticipate Dortmund will win, and they probably will. So if you look at that, you say, well, okay, this is happening in 90% of the matches in football, 90% of the matches in boxing, in kickboxing, in tennis, in anything. And it's only the one or two really critical, what the golfers call clutch moments, right? They're the ones that really matter. They're the real top-end moments. So most of the things are happening exactly as you would expect them to pan out. And it's the few tiny incidents that we expect to happen all the time. So when you turn around and you say that such and such a guy from, say, East Coast Jiu Jitsu is doing great at the moment and he's won a couple of tournaments. But those other guys aren't on his level. Yeah, exactly.
Because he's at that level.
Yeah, and maybe the guy in the final was at his level. And that was the really difficult match. But the other ones in the run-up, yeah, of course. It went as you would expect because he's training at a good level. He's training at a better level than them, and he's good. Or you, for example, like going out. I know you tooled your last guy, right? But the other fights, previous fights were more competitive. But like people going out and saying, "Yeah, that guy wasn't on his level." Yeah, exactly. It went exactly as planned, as anybody who was looking at the fight would say, "That guy's going to beat that guy." And most of the time, that's exactly what happens. And that's not because the other fella's terrible. It's because you're doing your work.
Yeah.
You did your job. Nothing else. And I think that a lot of times when people are looking down on other people's achievements, they forget that the reason that he's doing so well and the other person looks so terrible is because
this
that
guy
person
put the work in.
He's made him look terrible.
Yeah, I think my fight against Ben Ellis was an outlier in a way because, he was the favourite. Like, it was his hometown. No one expected me to come out and fight the way I fought. I didn't even expect me to come out and fight the way I fought, you know what I mean? So I think, like, when you have a night like that where people go, you know what I mean? Something like no one expected, like you're saying, we expected it to go a certain way, but no one expected it to go that way. Yeah. In the sense that's when
quickly,
and that it's them situations like that where you really go, hang on a minute, there's more to this than maybe what I actually thought, you know what I mean? Because the reason being, what was my game plan? Hit the head that wasn't going to move off the centre line, which I've been drilled into me for weeks before that.
Yeah, it wasn't a fluke.
It wasn't a fluke. I came out with the game plan that I had, and I obviously did it in a certain way that was maybe caught a lot of attention. I came out a bit rushy, and I shouldn't have maybe rushed it. Ultimately, I got the win in the end, but it's that thing of like I was expected to win, but then you have an outlier like that that's like Jace. They'll show another side of a game. So you have your Man Cities where like that they're passing the ball around. Maybe it's not the most exciting football, but then you might come up against a team that are sitting are playing count. Like who was it? Brentford. Remember Brentford? So you're expecting Man City to win. Long ball up the pitch, Ivan Toney scores. You know what I mean? And that's the outlier where. You know what I mean? You know what your game plan is to do. They knew City were playing the high ball, the defence up the line. And in their training, all that jazz, they're telling us, right, high ball, long ball up to Ivan Toney. Boom, long ball up. What did they do? They get 2 goals from the same
in
play.
The same way, it's not a fluke. It's drilled in, it's trained in, everything. This isn't danger. It could become Football Focus.
Yes.
We don't watch it. I brought it.
Monday Night Football. Get us on.
Monday Night Football. But like that's what I was kind of talking about, like in terms of like the way you speak and the way your language, and like sometimes even I think I said this when we were doing the podcast with Jessica. I won a tournament last summer, and when I was texted about it, like someone texted me about it and said, "How'd it go?" And I said, "Look, really, really well, but look, it wasn't a difficult tournament to win, basically," I said, and I got a voice message back. It was like, man, you can't even let yourself off the hook when you win. Like you can't. You got to remember that just because that meant you worked hard, it doesn't mean they were terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Same as my last one, actually. I was very dissatisfied with the result. Dave will tell you, I won the fight 2 minutes, you know what I mean? Everyone would be chuffed, didn't take any punches, flawless victory. And I went back out, I was happy, I was like, yeah. And then I was just like, man, I thought that was going to be I was training for that fight for 16 weeks, you know what I mean? 16 weeks of preparation. You expect a little bit more out of you. I don't know, you run through all the scenarios in your head and you expect it to go a certain way, and then it didn't go how I thought it was going to go, maybe because I worked a lot on my striking, so I wanted to let the hands go. It didn't work out for me in that sense. And then I was telling the lads, for example, I was talking to Kiefer Crosby last week, and I was like, oh yeah, he was like, man, you won, you smashed him, didn't you? I was like, yeah, but I was dissatisfied with the result. And he was like, man, what are you going, he's like, you went in and you bet him in 2.5 minutes, what are you going on about? I was like, I know, but just this night. He's like, no, he's like, you went in, you took him out, didn't take any damage, that is the dream night in our sport. And I was like, you know what, yeah, you're right, I need to stop being critical of even the flawless wins I'm critical of, because I wanted to go a certain way. And then it's just about separating yourself from how you want to feel about something, you know what I mean? And I think that comes with experience in itself, you know what I mean? But I know what you're saying about being critical of even the wins. It's because you want to always be better. It's that quest for, it's that hunger to be better, you know what I mean? And I'm the same, I can win, I should have won better. My last fight, I should have won in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? It's that whole thing, but ultimately, you've done what you went in to do, and you got the result you came to get. So what is there too much to be critical of?
Yeah. Here, give one bit of advice, say, to a white belt there now, feeling those nerves, looking at their someone starting out in competition maybe, wondering about the difference between their competition anxiety, let's call it that, even though we've established we don't like that word for it, and their I suppose reframing it as, what did I call it? Anticipatory excitement. Do you have any suggestions or any tips or hints?
I just always bring it back to training. I think preparation is the key for confidence. Okay, so if I go into a fight, for example, I'm just going to explain it in my terms. If I go into a fight knowing I didn't prepare as well as I could have, I have every right to be nervous, because I know in the back of my mind I may have not have worked as hard as I needed to get this win, because you always wonder what the next person's doing. Is he working as hard as me? Is he doing that? And so if I know I'm not working as hard, I have every right to be nervous in that sense. But when I work as hard as I can for the amount of weeks to prepare, and this is why competition is so, you need to prepare. You can't just go in off the fling it off like a random idea and I'll just compete for the crack. If you are going in to win, you need preparation, and it's 8 to 10 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is, of hard training, discipline, focus, and with a game plan in set for what you want to do, and drill everything as much as you need to drill it to get it perfected and to get it ready for competition, for that combat state. So if you're going into a competition trained, knowing that you trained as hard as you could have trained and done as many rounds as you know if you could have done, there's no need to be nervous, because the preparation will take care of the performance, you know what I mean? Yeah. So preparation takes care of performance. If you prepare to the best of your ability, the performance will take care of itself. Yeah. You can't control all the other factors. You can only control what happens in a match on that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The result is, in that way, is predetermined.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's just written in the stars. Whatever happens.
Exactly. And you need to, and another thing is,
lose, then you can be happy with
yourself. But another thing is, you need to expect that the other person's doing the same. You know what I mean? And if you're going in expecting that this other person is doing the same, it's gonna subconsciously raise the level, because you know that they're gonna be training to the best of their ability to prepare for this tournament. So you must prepare to the best of your ability to prepare for this tournament. So when you step onto the mat and you fist bump and you go, you need to expect that they have given their best of their ability for the last 6 to 8 weeks, and fight them like you have given your best in the last 6 to 8 weeks. And then whoever like I said, it might come down to one mistake on the day. You could be the better grappler, but you just make one slip up. That's part of the competition, and no one can control that but you. And sometimes even the things you can control aren't in your control. For example, me, I'm in control. I got the takedown. I'm in control. I'm on top. But what did I do? I gave away a position that I should have been better in. You know what I mean? But what's that got to do with I just was off on the night? It doesn't separate my skills from reality. You know what I mean? I'm still a high level grappler. I'm sparring every day against high level guys, competing every year, 2-3 times a year, doing whatever jiu-jitsu forms I can against high level guys. Nothing changes. I just got caught in the day. You know what I mean? And sometimes you go in, sometimes you lose. But as long as you're getting back on the mat and gearing yourself back up again for preparation, gearing yourself back up for tournament, you'll be better than the last time you competed. And it's well proven. Tell me any competitor that is at a high level or has competed loads of times that hasn't improved from their last competition. It'd be hard to find someone who hasn't. Why? Because they've learned from their mistakes and they have that little bit of grit inside them and they want to be better than the last one. So what are you going to do? They're going to try and even harder the next camp. They're going to put even harder rounds in for the next 6 to 8 weeks to make sure that they're going to be better than the last one. And that just comes from experience. That comes from competitions after competitions. You know yourself, since when I joined, I think I was like, I joined when I was 13. I think I did a competition 2 months after training and I got whooped. You know what I mean? Like, what, it didn't stop me. I was like, right, I want to get that gold medal. Went to the next one. I got bronze the first one. Got silver the second one. Third one I got gold. Fourth one I got gold. And then I went off on a slow bronze, silver, bronze, gold. I just kept chasing that win. So when you do get the win, it's just that much sweeter. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Sometimes you need them losses to make the wins feel so good. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's a better place to stop than that.
Yeah.
That's all good. Thank you. All right. Let's get out of here. It's 9:30. Jesus, we gotta go home. It's long.
Adios.
Thank you.